might be wondering what the 320CDI is and why we're talking about it and why we started to tune it and what's different about this to what we normally tune. Well, normally we're sort of famously known for tuning the 606 engine because it has the ability to run a mechanical injector pump. So you don't need any ECU, any wires, it's a completely standalone system. You can start it on a pallet, it has a throttle lever and that's it. And not only that, but it's one of the most powerful small diesel engines, 3-litre diesel engines that you're going to find, as well as being beautifully simple. What the 320CDI is the next generation on, using a similar 6-cylinder pattern that basically uses common rail technology. Instead of being on the older cars, which were a mechanical pump with an electronic back, which we remove, this is a full common rail system. So it basically uses a CP3 pump. Well, this one does. Normally it uses a CP1 pump. We've upgraded it. It uses a high pressure pump that delivers pressure to one solid rail to the tune of about 1250 bars. And then that rail has a feed to each single injector. When the injector demands fuel, the ECU tells it when, it allows that 1250 bar of rail pressure to go through the injector and atomise, really well. The older technology engines that we're used to working on, 130 bar tuned to 150 bar injectors, you can tell the difference, 1250 bar versus 130. So they did this in the eyes of better economy and better fuel burn. More pressure through a finer nozzle is better atomisation. So that's what that was all about. So we're basically then trying to put a bigger pump on to get more fuel into that rail. We'll put bigger injectors in to get more fuel through and into the cylinders, and then obviously a bigger turbo system. But there are quite a few differences between this and that original engine that we used to tune in the 606, but there's certainly some potential in this. Starting at the front, we did a custom intercooler into there, and we had to integrate all the original air conditioning system and everything. You can see we've hard piped it. It's got our extra thick boost hoses, T-clamps and things like that. That leads up into a custom made manifold with EGR delete and some other bits. On this side you can see the cold air intake with a nice TIG welded bracket and everything mounted into there. And we've got the air intake here. This has a complete cover that goes over there that stops any kind of water splashing back up off the road and going up there, but we've got a nice air feed here to try and keep that engine bay heat out of the intake air temperatures. This is a build that we've done over 12 months, so like lots of small changes has happened like over time, so there's a huge amount of man hours gone into this, like a massive amount, as any development project. So engine 613, stock internals, but we've got lots of upgrades which I'll show you when we're up top. But you can see this is the 3-inch exhaust system. We've got the screamer pipe there, that's on the Turbo Smart high pressure wastegate. Custom 722.6 transmission. Obviously it's the original transmission out of this car, but it's built high performance internals, all sorts of upgrades. And then full stainless system, all constructed in-house. It's back purged, TIG welded, stainless, 316 grade, so it'll resist that corrosion for a long time. And we originally just had this silencer in, but we had like a little bit of drone. With it being an estate car, you tend to get a bit of drone, so we've ended up putting one across the back as well, and now it is literally like driving a factory car. When the wastegate opens, you get a nice, I'll probably cut to that, but yeah, so a nice hidden tip, so nothing outrageous or boy racer looking. That literally you can't even see it from behind, it's just a really nice tucked in example. See the Bosch 044 here, That was a hurdle we had to overcome. The original cars, they don't have an electric lift pump, they have a mechanical one driven by the camshaft, and that can't keep up with the flow rate required for the bigger CP3 pump we put on there. So Bosch 44 flows to a regulator drops that pressure down and feeds the common rail pump. Underneath, I think that's pretty much all I can really show you. Most of the other mods are very subtle or not really. Oh, actually, there's really one big one in front of us that we haven't even noticed. This diff has got a quaif inside. It's got an ATB unit, and that is absolutely awesome. Really, really evenly gets the traction down to both tyres, and you never get any kind of nasty sort of bias in or anything like that. It's got a very linear kind of drive, which you wouldn't really even know it was there unless you'd paid for it. Or you experience the benefits of it, should we say. While we've got this up, I'll show you some of the dyno runs. So there was like multiple dyno runs, and by multiple I mean like over 170 dyno runs in total. This one just showed a 320 wheel 417 engine, massive transmission loss on that particular run, 506 pounds-feet. The average engine power ranged between sort of 350, 360 and 400. That's a particularly high one. Let me just have a quick look. So you can see, this is just on this page. We got 2 pages for this car, but test 151 on this list, dating back from, you can see recent dates, all the way back to when we first started tuning it in 2018. And we've got stock tunes. I think is the stock tune listed on there? Yeah, the original stock tune is on there from July last year. 161 horsepower, was it? Yeah, 161 horsepower and 193 foot-pounds. So we've given it a substantial gain in that respect. Oh, and there you can see the wheel power was originally 114. So we're nearly triple that, and as far as pounds-feet, we're sort of 2.5 times. So, although it isn't the biggest horsepower build we've ever done, it's certainly a great upgrade from standard. Let's take it down and I'll show you some of the top. Here we are at the top end. One of the most obvious things you'll notice is the larger turbo and the abundance of where the original airbox was. The original air filter system sits right above the manifold, and obviously we've relocated that down there, and you can see we've even got the airflow meter built into the intake pipework. It has a 6-branch manifold, which you can see down here. It's got nice flow, nice even flow from all 6 cylinders. We've got the Turbo Smart 40mm wastegate just sitting down the back there. This stainless tubing slightly discoloured due to the amount of runs that we've done on this and the amount of testing we've done on it. And then underneath, obviously you can't see, I think this is, it's unbolted, cool. So we can have a look underneath here. We've got a custom inlet manifold, which we found that the original inlet manifold with the original EGR system and the swirl flaps in was nearly 20 brake horsepower down on this current setup. So we've literally first took the EGR system out, gained about 8 horsepower, and then when we changed to this manifold we gained about another 12. So that was a decent increase for not really much extra fuel, and it's kind of more efficiency where we've gained that power. There you can see the fuel pressure regulator. That's just regulating the pressure to the fuel pump. The actual fuel filter housing's been changed because the original plastic version's really weak and you can't put much pressure through it, and it swelled up and cracked, so we couldn't actually use that. Fuel pump wise, we've got a big CP3 on there. The original pump on these is a CP1. This is not a particularly easy thing to fit. A lot of people say, oh, 400 CDI pump, get one, put it on, easy peasy. It's not easy. It's marginally easier on the 648 engine, which is similar to this, very similar. It's just the later model cars, simply because it has a couple of extra bolt holes in the front of the casing, which we had to drill and tap in this one. And also the 648 water pump allows for a bit more room for this, which we had to convert. So there's been a lot of messing around trying to get that done. pipes changed, which that was fairly easy. We've got upgraded injectors in this. These are actually the C30 AMG injectors, which have an extra hole to deliver that extra little bit of fuel. We found that the standard common rail pump and the standard injectors would flow up to about 300 horse, and this obviously took us up to the sort of 320 and a bit beyond. Wheels I'm talking. One of the main limiting factors that we've found with this engine, which is very apparent, is it doesn't want to flow air very well. And this is a very proven setup that we have on here that we use on the 606 all the time, and we'll religiously get sort of 400 horsepower at the wheels from a 606, which is the older engine, slightly smaller capacity as well. Still 6-cylinder. They actually share a few different parts, a few parts from this engine also. And at around 2 bar, we'll see 400 horse. This setup, exactly the same, with the same pressure, you might only be getting sort of 270, 280. So it's hugely more restrictive design in terms of airflow. We've driven the pressure up and found that we've got some gains that way. But again, the air pressure system's having to work harder to do the same thing. On the plus side of the engine, because it making less power is a negative, on the plus side, we've got a few benefits in that we can integrate anti-lag, so we can get the boost built up from idle without even needing it to be on the roll or in gear, which I'll cut to a clip of that. Give it to me! Yeah! Oh yeah! 210 TDI 2-step. And also it's a very strong engine. I mean, you can see the amount of dyno pulls we've done, and we've been monitoring everything that's going on, you know, to make sure that the engine's happy and not self-destructing. And it's taking it like a champ. You know, it's not trying to blow its coolant out. It's not creating ridiculous exhaust temperatures or anything like that. So from the point of view of reliability and strength, the engine is actually really good. And another thing to note is, with these injectors, we have still got plenty of fuel left over. With this fuel system, we estimate maybe potentially 400 horsepower at the wheels before we'd have to change the injectors again. The pump's capable to way beyond that, the injectors being the limiting factor. So, you know, we can still turn the fuel up on this and create a load of smoke and no more power, but, you know, and still getting reasonable injector duration. Watch this space, we've got some cool stuff coming for the 613. So long.